Yeah. Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? Nothing But Niners crew is back, man. And guys, we have got a lot to talk about. Week 8 is here. The 49ers are 6-0. We are back at home, and we are ready to take on the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are 4-2. They're on a 4-game win streak without their quarterback Cam Newton in there. Kyle Allen is out there, and apparently he's talking some smack. We're going to get to all of that. We've heard from our quarterback. We've heard from our head coach. We've heard from our lead cornerback. We've even heard from some new additions, guys. I can't wait to talk about this with the fellas and break this all down. But before we do, we have to go through all the formalities. If this is your first time here checking us out and you're on YouTube, we want to thank you guys for being here. Make sure you guys hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Those two things are very, very important. The likes help other faithful find us that haven't seen us before. All right, the subscribe button keeps you informed. And if you want to go a step further, hit that notification button as well. So that way when we go live on impromptu shows or the breaking news videos, like when the 49ers traded for Sanders, you get those notifications because we don't give you guys a 30-minute warning, okay? So make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and those notification bells. If you're also a first-time viewer on Facebook, we want to thank you guys for checking us out. If you are in the chat right now on Facebook, all right, make sure you guys put your name in there when you go to join, all right? That way we can shout you out if you put any awesome, interesting comments in the group chat, okay? We'd love to give you guys the respect and credit that you deserve. So make sure you back out real quick. Type your name in there or a nickname or a Twitter handle, whatever it is that you want us to know you by, and we can give you a shout out during the shows, okay? Facebook and Instagram have the same exact handle. So if you guys have never been to either one of those before, make sure you guys check it out there. It is Nothing But Niners. That is spelled all the way out. You guys can also check us out on Twitter and Snapchat. That is Nothing But 9ERS. So make sure you give us follows over there on both of those. Our Twitter feed is a lot of fun. You guys will see polls. You see graphics for post-game, inactives. I mean, it's a whole bunch of fun stuff going on over there. Very interactive, all right? So make sure you guys check that out. I'm old. I'm fogey. I don't know too much about Snapchat, but someone's running it. So make sure you guys check it out over there, all right? If you don't remember anything that I just told you, don't worry. We got you covered. Your one-stop shop for everything 49ers by Nothing But Niners is the website. It is www.nothingbutniners.com. Make sure you guys check that out. You're going to get everything I just told you about, the social media pages. There's a page dedicated to you fans, all right? You guys can send us pictures. You guys can send us questions, comments, concerns. We're going to post those pictures up there on our website, all right? If you want to send us any questions, comments, concerns, your pictures, it is nbniners@nothingbutniners.com, all right? Also, while you're over there at the website, you guys will see our podcast. You guys are going to see articles written by a bunch of cool people, myself included, all right? So make sure you guys check all that stuff out. Whew! That's all the formalities, guys. I'm done. If you guys don't know already or you don't follow me, you can hit me up on Twitter. All right, I'm 49ers Mike _NFL, and I got my man Nick here, 49er Faithful 365.
Bang, bang, not a gang.
What's going on, man? How you feeling over there, man?
What's up?
How you feeling over there, man? What's up?
I'm still a little under the weather from the game on Sunday, sitting in the rain all week, but all day. But I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready for some Niners football this week, baby. Faithful then, faithful now. You know what's up.
Oh yeah. I think you, just like everybody else in the Northeast, are all feeling a little bit of what's going around out here, man. It's kind of crazy out here. But we got one more guy from the Northeast to bring in. Let's see if he's feeling under the weather, because I know I'm a little congested still too. My man Tony, NJ Niner fan 499. What's going on, Tony? How you feeling over there, man?
What's up? I'm good. I feel good. No complaints. Yeah. No complaints.
You're not sick?
No.
What the hell is this guy taking, man? We got to
don't jinx me, please.
Knock on some wood for you there over there. Some good health to Tony, man. We want to make sure everybody's as healthy as possible, man. But Tony, man, I want to thank you guys for checking us out here, man. Again, guys, all of us have our Twitter handles right there at the bottom of the screen. So you guys make sure you give us follows if you're on Twitter. That is the best way to interact with all of us, all right? Very interactive, a lot of fun, going back and forth with the faithful, even some haters, all right? I love it all, man. Bring it on. Make sure you guys give us follows over there, okay? Fellas, we got a lot to talk about tonight, man. First of all, let's put this brand black, because Tony's got the white walls over there. And as long as he stays still, it's going to look nice right there. Boom, right over his head, all right? It's like the devil on his shoulder. Maybe the angel, depends on what shoulder we're talking about, right? All right, guys. The Niners have been going through a lot. Now, Nick, did you verify whether or not that tweet is real? Let's just start with the shakedown here, because Nick showed me something while we were sitting here doing the pre-talk stuff. He showed me this tweet. Look at this thing. Hold on. Let me bring Nick on the full screen here. Hold on. Let's get this up here. This is from quarterback Kyle Allen's official account on Twitter. Nick Bosa will not get a single tackle or sack this Sunday. Trash. Hashtag keep pounding. Nick, this can't be real, bro. Come on, Nick. This can't be real.
Bro, I mean, I don't know, bro. It's there. And I think he deleted it in somebody's Snapchat or like screenshotted it. So somebody tagged him in it. Whoa, NB Smaller Bear, you're gonna let him get away with this?
Bulletin board material.
Bro, Tony. All right. You think Tony, was he hacked? Come on, man.
It has like legit followers, like a lot of followers.
It was a verified account.
Verified account.
It had to be hacked. Because if he said that, he's stupid as hell.
Look, I'm gonna make it full screen again. Look at this.
That's crazy. Okay. I don't know. Hey. According to PFF, your left tackle and right tackles are less than 70 in productivity. So I want to be talking shit, man.
You don't taunt the guy that's bearing down on you all game, and that's no pun intended with the
smaller bear. I just want to see another slide, bro. I just want to see another slide.
That is insane. I can't believe he tweeted that out, man. And if he got hacked, kudos to that hacker, because that is a hell of a way to kick stuff off for this week's game, man. And guys, so any other thoughts on that before we move on? Because that is wild. I can't believe that.
I just want to see a bear crawl, bro. Like after a sack, I just want to see a bear crawl.
Yeah. Maybe that was like truth or dare or something. Nick doesn't do that though, does he? He doesn't do a bear crawl, does he?
No, he should. That's what I'm saying.
That would be badass.
He should do a bear crawl.
You ever play this game called Tekken? They got a panda bear on there and a regular bear, and they do this move where they get down and they maul you, but then they roll like it's a tumble. How cool would that be if he did that? Never mind. Let me stop because then he'll get injured and people will blame me. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. Yeah. I don't knock on some more wood over here. All right, guys. Where do you guys want to start, man? We got a couple of pressures that came out this week, and that's what we're here to talk about, guys. We are not going to get into the pregame, previewing the game part 2. That is not today. We got shows lined up for you guys. Okay, today what we want to do is catch you guys up in case you all missed the pressers. This is what we want to talk about today. There were a lot of pressers that happened. We heard from the head coach. We heard from Richard Sherman. We heard from Robert Saleh. We heard from Kendrick Bourne and the Toyota ride along. We heard from new wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, there's a lot to go over right here, man. I don't know if you guys want to start. You guys want me to just keep it rolling? Because I'll do it.
Yeah, let's just start with Kyle Shanahan. All
right. So head coach Kyle Shanahan had a lot to say. He was talking about his new toy. He said he wanted him for over 8 years and all that, but I'm going to go with this in chronological order. He always starts off with the injuries. All right, so let's start it off with the injuries also. He said, let's start with Joe Staley because it's going to be pretty important for this game. Joe Staley has not officially been ruled out. However, he's also not ruled in. He's still listed as doubtful, which is worse than questionable, not quite probable, right? What are your guys' thoughts on it? He said that Joe Staley has been practicing. He looks good, but there was some soreness following the Monday or Tuesday practice, all right? And he said that the practices going forward are going to be the determining factor in whether or not Joe Staley plays. He's still listed as doubtful. Your thoughts, fellas?
I'll start it off. I think that he shouldn't play this week anyway. And the only reason I say that is because you have a quick turnaround for a Thursday night game. So why bring him out there and then him still experience soreness and then not be able to go with the quick turnaround? I'd rather him get back and acclimated with practice and stuff and go up to be able to play in Thursday in a divisional game, which I know this game's probably going to be a harder game than the divisional game is with Arizona, but I'm not counting anybody out. But, I mean, it's a broken leg, right? So it's either healed or it's not healed. Obviously, he hasn't been putting a lot of pressure on it, things like that, moving and pushing and, forcing himself off of that leg until now, right? Until lately. He started to do a little couple warm-ups. I seen him out there Sunday practicing on the field, doing drop backs and things like that. But to me, it's one more week. Like, our tackles have been holding it down. I know we're going up against a better defensive line. And now the other issue is if Toilolo doesn't play, that came out today, that will be definitely a bigger benefit thing for Carolina. and not so much for us. So, but I would still just hold him out till next week and then just make sure that he's completely ready and no soreness after going so that he doesn't have any type of setbacks.
All right. Tony, man, your thoughts on it all, man.
I agree. I agree with Nick saying I don't think they should rush him, especially because of the short week. I would rest him, even though, I mean, he could probably play, and I know he wants to play, but I would not rush him in this situation because then, God forbid, if he refractures it, you're going to have another issue, and he'll be out for the year. But I'd let him rest one more week, see how he is on that short week because it's probably going to be like 2 walkthroughs, and then they go right into that game. And as far as that other injury, that other name you mentioned – that could be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, we might as well go ahead and get to it. Toilolo was listed as questionable with a groin issue. First, Shanahan said hamstring. He looked to his right, and then he got the right answer to groin issue. And Toilolo's kind of important with what's going on right now. Both of the backup tackles in there, he's been helping those guys out in protection and things like that. Tony, when you listened to it, you said that you wished you hadn't listened to Pressure, and that was why, right? So
I don't like that.
Right back to Nick.
I don't like that because he's a low-key guy. You're not going to hear his name in, play after play after play. But he's the guy who's stepping up and chipping and helping the outside guys, the tackles. He's helping in the run game. If he can't go, there's some concern, in my opinion, because this front seven is talented. I'm not saying they stink by all means, but Kuechly's one hell of a linebacker and probably – top 2, if not the top linebacker in the NFL, and they spin their guys out like we do because we keep our guys fresh, so they have a nice rotation going there. And I just hope Toilolo could go because if not, that's going to be an issue. And someone said that Brian Burns was out.
No, well, it was to be determined. He just had surgery on his wrist, but he's going to play.
He's going to play.
He is going to play.
Mm-hmm.
But a pass rusher with a bad wrist is really risky because that's where your impact is first made. That's dangerous. I don't know how smart that is. I mean,
I'm sure they'll have it casted up or something. Same type of thing with Jimmy Ward.
Yeah, but Jimmy Ward isn't making contact with his hands bent up every.
No, but I'm saying they might club it, just completely club it.
So he can't bend his wrist. Can they club that so it can't bend?
Yeah, DeMontre Moore had it.
Yeah, it'll just be like a big club,
right, but it still could bend, couldn't it? I know
it'll come down to here.
Holy smokes! All right, cool.
But that is definitely concerning.
Something that we don't have here on the injury report from Shanahan. Just briefly, I'm not going to put all the business out there, but Marquise Goodwin. I saw some people saying that we hope his family is good or his baby is good. His personal issues have nothing to do with the baby. From what I was told, I don't know. Shanahan asked that everybody respect his privacy, so I'm not going to put any of the information that we have heard out there. But it has nothing to do with the pregnancy between him and
Morgan.
What's her name? Morgan. Yes, Morgan. So the baby is good. Blessings to them, and hopefully he will be back. Shanahan did say that he could still play on Sunday. Depends on how he's feeling. So he has not been ruled out either. All right, it's just one of those things that are up in the air. I can't think of any other injuries. We already know that Juice is going to be out. We know that McGlinchey is still going to be out. We know that Witherspoon is going to be out. I think those are the 3 guys that we know for sure are going to be out, and Staley is the guy that is doubtful. All right.
Witherspoon actually, I saw a tweet today that Witherspoon actually has the Seattle game circled on his calendar that's when he's going to come back.
That'll be dope. That's a good problem when he comes back. I'm excited to see how the team handles that. I really, really am. I'm hoping. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I'll drop this and I'll move on unless you guys want to respond to it. But I'm hoping that when he comes back, you know how they move Jimmy Ward down to the nickel sometimes? I'm hoping that they avoid doing that, and maybe they put Mosley there if they feel the need that Quan can't do it for some reason. But I'll be honest with you, Williams has been playing his ass off.
Bro, Williams has been balling, man. He had one bad game in Cincinnati. Other than that, he's been balling.
Yeah, and I'm loving the secondary. It's amazing that this was really legitimately looked at as a weakness, and it's just completely turned around, man. The secondary is not only good, they're deep, so it's really good. Back to Toilolo really quick. Shanahan said that someone in the pressers asked him, is there someone who can replace what he brings to the table given how thin we are already at tackle, tight, fullback, because Dwelly is back and doing fullback tight responsibilities. He flat out said no. So this Toilolo thing is a game-altering decision here. So I want to ask you guys this, and we're obviously not in the locker room. We don't have the playbook or anything like that. What changes if Toilolo can't go? What are we looking at? Are we looking at you guys can give me basics, more running plays, less running plays? Like what
you're looking at Kittle staying in more. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Kittle
when you staying in, like staying on the line, not
staying in as a blocker more than running routes.
Is it possible that's why the Sanders trade was so important to happen this week? We heard about the Sanders trade. The Broncos wanted to do it next week. Shanahan pretty much put the kibosh to that and said, it's this week or it's not happening. Could it be because of that? We're going to have to use Kittle as a blocker, which takes away another receiving target down the field. Could it be because he didn't want to go out there with just two wide receivers?
I mean, it could be. I wouldn't put like all the eggs in that basket as it, but I think that it could have had something to do with getting and obviously, you want him in here and ready to go for those division games too. So that's probably a big reason too, because even if he didn't get caught up or learn the offense this week, you have him coming up, gets 2 weeks in the system to learn to go into those division games, because you got a division game, out of division game, and then an in-division game again. So, those are 2 big games. But, I don't know how to read this Toilolo injury yet. Like, I don't know how to look at it yet, because it's like he's not really ruled out yet, but, we'll see how he is, within the next couple of days and see if he can go. So he's going to be a game time decision. And he said, I don't know exactly how he said it. Don't quote me on this, but he said something on the terms of, if he can't go, that'll be a huge blow. But if he can go, he'll obviously go, like type of thing. So he was like, he still had that little, I'm not sure yet in his voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that uncertainty, and it almost sounded like nervousness. Tony, what are your thoughts, man? How does Toilolo? I mean, I know we've talked about it and touched on it, but what do you think Toilolo's? If he can't go, how does the game plan change?
I think he'll stick to the run game more, and it'll be more simple run game. You might see them try to go to a power if possible, using Dwelly in the backfield, pulling the guards, doing counters and traps and stuff like that. But as far as if they want to go, if Kyle wants to throw the ball, they could come out in 11 personnel, which is 1 back, 1 tight end. They would probably keep Dwelly 3 wide receivers, 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. They would probably keep Dwelly as the inline, or they would keep Kittle as the inline and then go with the 3 wide receivers. If they went Dwelly inline, Kittle could play the slot, and Sanders and what's his name, Pettis or.
So you're talking about formation, not personnel, because
correct.
if Dwelly and Kittle are out there, that's not 11.
Well, remember, Dwelly's acting as a fullback,
right?
And with Toilolo out.
So you're saying no running back then?
No. I'm saying 11 personnel is 1 back, 1 tight end, but it's going to be a tight end, and the other tight end will be the slot guy. Just because it's labeled as 11, Kittle could come out and play the slot because it's 3 wide.
Yeah, but do you think that? I think that benefits Carolina more, because then they can put a corner on them.
Yeah, because they're going to move. If you watch Kyle's offense, you never see people standing in the same spot from when they break the huddle to when the snap goes off. Someone's always moving in motion. So, and that's how Kyle, determines whether it's zone or man, and that's how Kyle could shift the coverage to get the matchup that he wants. So, by doing that, he could screw with that secondary in that coverage right before the snap, and then he has the advantage. But I'm telling you, you guys can't sleep on Kuechly with this guy on Kittle, man. If he matches up with Kittle, it's going to be a battle between them two.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Chaos. This is exactly what I heard as well. I heard that we had to up the stakes. Now, I don't know if we originally offered the 3rd, and then they said throw in the 4th and swap so we can move up from the 5th round. I don't know if that was what it was, but I do know that, or what I heard also was that both teams wanted him this week. So we added something to it, whether that was just them trading up. I don't know if they added the third or the fourth or whatever. So I don't want to put any misinformation out there, but yeah, we heard something very, very similar. The next topic here, we were talking about Sanders earlier on. Shanahan did go out, which I was super surprised to hear him say. They were like, is Sanders going to play? He said, yes, he is going to play this week, a lot actually, but he would not say what position he's going to play. Now, I took a lot of little side notes and things like that. What did you guys gather from his comments, and where do you guys think he's going to line up?
I think he'll be an outside guy.
Think he's going to play outside? All right. Tony, what about you?
I think he's going to play all across. Depending on the formation, depending on the matchup, depending on a play call, he's going to play all across the board.
So,
well, Kyle Shanahan did touch on that because somebody asked about them. Will he? Is he veteran enough to know all three of those positions? And he says it's not specifically he's going to play one specific position, but I'm going to use him all over the field. So he's not going to play the X, the Y, and the Z. He's going to play whatever X or Z or Y. One of those
bring him down
positions and just change him around on the field, but he's not going to learn X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. So Nick, that's exactly what I heard. Also, that was one of the little notes I took away from it, that he's going to line him up in one position and then kind of use him in motion, which goes back to what Tony was just saying. No one's ever starting. The play doesn't start where they line up before the snap. Like it's always someone moving, right? But I think it's going to be the slot. All right. The reason I say that is because we heard him saying, oh, they're going to use me similar to how I was being used recently in Denver. And then I also heard him in another podcast where they were talking about the weakness on the Panthers defense. It's the slot of the nickel corner. So we heard that a lot also. Our slot guy has been a plethora of different people. It hasn't been one guy that can do it well and consistently. It's just a bunch of guys that are going in there whenever their number is called, right? And then the other thing is Sanders actually said in one of his pressers, right now I'm working mostly in the slot. He actually went out there and said that. I don't know if they wanted him to say that. When I went back and watched the replay on the actual 49ers feed, I didn't see that part that time. But when I watched it on Periscope, which is the live raw thing, you can't edit that. He said it in the Periscope. So I don't know if they had that retracted for the 49ers purposes. You know what I mean? But he definitely said, I'm going to be playing in the slot this week. So that's what I think. I think that's where they're going to line him up. And I'm really excited about that, man, because if that would explain why the 49ers were insistent on getting him there. Kyle Shanahan has complimented this defense a lot, and that's going to be one of my next points. Actually, no, that's not my next point. Go ahead.
Know what's going to be interesting is to see who gets the jet sweeps now between him and Debo.
Well, Debo's got more speed than him.
Yeah, but he runs that jet sweep like really, really good. So it'll just be interesting because he's used to running those jet sweeps as well, especially in Denver. They use them a lot for those jet sweeps. So it'll just be interesting to see who they use. I mean, I think they'll still use both guys.
You know what? Debo wasn't on the injury report this week, was he?
No, he practiced.
Good.
Groin injury.
Good.
I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but another one of those tweets just came out from McCaffrey at 5:58. I'll run through Bosa, Buckner, and Armstead like a hot butter through knife. Hot knife.
Somebody hacked these guys. Somebody hacked the hell out of them. Hold on, let's put it on Tony's real quick. Let's see if we can get this to focus. You got to give us a better. Come on, put it closer to the camera. Now turn your hand a little bit more. No, other way. There it is. Now go the other way. Yep. Keep going. Right there. I'll run through Bosa, Buckner, and Armstead like a hot knife through butter. Hashtag keep. Yo, this is wild that they're doing this. This is crazy, yo. Whoever's hacking these guys, keep it up. Keep it up, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Give us a reason to just kick it up a notch. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
This is great. And I like the Panthers social media in general, like their the actual team site. I like that in general. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they try to say, "Oh, guys, that wasn't us. We got hacked." I'll be waiting for the massive "we got hacked" tweets. Okay. Another thing that Shanahan talked about was the run game, right? And we asked Tony and Nick about this earlier about what does Toilolo mean and his absence and how they're going to adjust, right? And Shanahan commented that 4 weeks in a row, the 49ers have had 39 plus run plays in the game. He said 40, but he was like, I know last week was only 39. But for the most part, we're doing 40. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that we're running because we have to, or are we running because it's a game plan, or the game is dictating what kind of plays we should be running?
I think we're running it because of how well our defense is playing. And what I mean by that is you're running it, you're getting yourself in manageable third downs, and you can continue to run the football, and it keeps your defense fresh. So it keeps your defense off the field, and it keeps them hype. And he knows that this defense is what's balling right now. And I think that with the ability to be able to run the football the way we are and keep it into those manageable third downs, that why not just continue to run the football? Because if you look at our rushes, first and second downs we're averaging 6.5 yards per rush on first and second downs, right? So that's putting you in third and twos, third and threes. So you're in manageable third down. So why not continue to run it? But if you look up that stat for first and second downs, we're averaging 6.5 yards per carry.
All right, I like that. Tony, your thoughts on it, man?
I think they're running the ball because that's the main staple of Kyle's offense. His offense is predicated off of the play action. So in order to get play action, you got to run the ball. But on the other hand, if it's working, why go away from it? It gives you the ability to, just keep running the ball. Nick said keep the defense off the field, keep them fresh, and you don't have to open up your playbook until you really need to. So now we're 6-0. The Niners are 6-0. Potentially we could be 7-0. And now you're talking. We just added Sanders, and now you're talking at 7-0. You haven't even seen a quarter of Kyle's playbook because it's been all run and play action pass. This the basics of his offense. So,
you know what's interesting, because Tony's talking on playbook, is you heard George Kittle. He was asked on NFL Network Access or NFL Access, whatever that show is.
Total Access
on NFL Network. He said, "Yeah, well, Kyle Shanahan's scheme is really difficult, blah 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 blah." And I believe I don't think it's Colleen Wolfe, whatever her name is, I forget her name. But she asked him, "Well, what is so complicated about it?" And he says, "Each week is a different playbook. Like there's never the same plays from the week before." So that's where we're going into week 6, and I don't even I really think this guy designs plays and comes up with plays for each opponent that he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I don't even think it's digging into a playbook. I don't even think Kyle technically has this, book a playbook. It's literally he watches tape, he sees what he can expose and what he can't expose. He puts in what he needs to and goes from that game plan for that playbook for that week.
I think he has a playbook, and I think he has his basic plays that he teaches, his fundamentals.
He has his basic installations.
Right. But then during that week's install, it's when you see this guy do this, this is what this play is going to be. This is how we're going to do it. So he tweaks each play and comes up with a series of plays. You know how they talk about most coaches have that 15, the opening 15, the first 15.
Yeah, they script it.
Right?
15s.
Kyle Shanahan scripts plays during the game. The first half, and they're going to react to it when we do it like this in the second half. He scripts in game. And so this dude's a machine. I'm not even going to – he's a machine, man. I absolutely love it. I love it. And yes, you're right, Nick. He looks at the opponents, the strengths and weaknesses, and he attacks them on a week in and week out basis. He doesn't come in there with what is that ZY banana split, whatever that thing is that
Spider 2Y banana.
Yeah, that Gruden play. He's not calling that same exact thing. He's going to change it up a little bit. So I like that. I think that do you guys think that we're going to run the ball 39 times this week?
I think we'll run it close to that.
Mhm.
Now, this includes rushes from Jimmy. So,
yeah, I mean, I would say anywhere from 30 to 35 times. Because that's just what our game is.
But 30 to 35 is not 39 or 40. That's a difference. There's a big difference there. You only get about 65 to 70 offensive plays a game. So
I'll go with 35. 4 rushes less than 39.
35. All
I say
right.
about 35.
So you guys are looking for a reduction. Damn it. Thought I was going to be alone on this island. I'm going to say, believe it or not, I'm going to say 30. I think we're going to try to use Sanders in the slot a lot this week. I think we're going to try to spread that defense out. Something else that I heard this week was that they play a lot of zone. I heard that mentioned by Jimmy Garoppolo, and I heard that mentioned by Shanahan multiple times. You don't usually hear them talk about, and I know it's like, all right, it's either zone or man, right? It's not that big of a deal. But the way they emphasized on it while they were talking about it makes me think that Kyle Shanahan has a passing attack waiting for this group. You're going to give us the ball in space. That's what our receivers do best. We're going to make you pay for it. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
The principles of this defense that you're about to see is almost what we saw versus the Cleveland Browns, because Steve Wilkes was with Riverboat Ron, and when he was the defensive coordinator, his defense was humming. So it's the same principles that we saw versus Cleveland, and you saw what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, the thing about it is so we're going up against Carolina, who's the leading team with sacks in the NFL right now, right? Or in the NFC. They're leading with sacks right now. I think they have 17, right? But how do you stop an aggressive pass rush? You run the football. You establish a run. Like, that's how you stop them from rushing your quarterback, which is only good. So if you're going to rush, and then throw, I think it's going to be like 4-to-1 ratio on rushing to passing this weekend. Now, I think Carolina's going to try to.
You said 4-to-1? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like I think that's what I'm saying. So you say 60 plays, you know what I mean? That's almost 50%, right? If I say 35 and we get 65 plays or 70 plays, that's 50%. So
right.
That'd be 2-to-1.
Holy smokes. That's a lot. All right. 4-to-1. If we did a 4-to-1 ratio of runs with 70, that means that's 40 and 10. That's no way. That means that we're only going to pass the ball like 25 times.
Yeah, that's what we've been averaging.
Wow.
That's what we've really been 4-to-1 right now. We've been.
Oh wait, no, I'm lying. 25 is way high because that means we ran 100 plays. 25 is high. It's like 17 to 19, somewhere in there. I don't think we're only throwing the ball that many times.
Yeah, so maybe 3 3-to-1.
3-to-1 might be closer. All right. So this year,
this defense is very, very bad against the rush. They're good on pass rush, but they can't. They're giving up like 123 yards per game on the ground.
I think it's 140. I think.
Well, okay. Well, that's even better. But that's why I think that we're just going to rush the ball a lot more and then open up. I think Sanders. I think, like, I'm with you, Mike. Probably, I would say maybe 20 to 25 pass attempts, and the rest are going to be rushes. So I could see us at that 35 to 40 range again, depending on what the time of possession is.
Yeah, I like that. And you were right. Panthers have 27 sacks, for first in the NFL. It's such a cheap thing too, because you know what's crazy is that Dylan Black thinks it says 17.5. Yeah, I said 17 and 19, so I'm not that great at math, but 27 sacks. And you know what's cheap about that, man? They played the Bucks twice, and they got 7 sacks on them the last time they played them. Like, come on, man, that's crazy. So you got a gimme there, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm not going to complain about it. All right. Let's keep this thing moving here. Is there anything else on the run game either one of you guys want to chime in with before we keep it moving with the Shanahan presser? We're almost done with what he had to say.
How concerned are you with Raheem Mostert still not practicing?
I'm not super concerned because he's not a high volume ball carrier, and what his contributions are on special teams, he doesn't really need to practice because they can't practice. They can't practice.
He's hurt. That's what I'm saying. So
I know that, but you said, am I concerned with how much he's practicing this week? I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not concerned.
I meant because he's not practicing because of his injury. So not practicing because he's hurt, not just because he's just not practicing. So how concerned are you with him being hurt and maybe not being able to play?
I'm not concerned. Tony, are you?
I mean, they're listing him as questionable. If there was any serious doubt, that he would be doubtful. I'm more concerned as a gunner than I am as a running back as far as Mostert.
Right, that's what I was talking about.
But I mean, if it was that serious, I think they would just list him as doubtful or just list him as out.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. You don't run full play when you're gunning in practice. So even if he's not practicing, that's one thing he doesn't need to do. If he was like a running back or a main ball carrier, I'll be a little bit more concerned with knowing the game plan and things like that. But with him being a gunner, they're not doing that full speed in practice, even in a real practice environment. They're not doing that full speed. So I'm not overly concerned about it. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
But I hope he plays because it's a big difference when those gunners aren't out there and playing well. So
I mean,
we saw a play turn to he missed a punt return tackle. Was it this game or the game before
against the Rams?
And he had the guy like as soon as he caught the ball, but he missed the tackle, and the guy ran the ball for like 12 yards. It's a big difference in field position when he's not out there. Those little tiny plays like
I don't know. Emmanuel Mosley playing gunner has been hella good too.
Yeah, he's been okay, but I'm telling you that it's a big difference when Mostert's not out there. It is a big difference.
I don't know. Dude, go back and watch them. Emmanuel Mosley and Mostert are hitting the guy at the same time. It's pretty damn close. But that's what I was just touching on because we haven't really talked a lot about special teams here. We haven't really talked a lot about Mitch Wishnowsky because his averages are really down. You know what I mean? But it's just he's not punting a lot either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not punting a lot. And this is what everybody – so we were so hyped in the, you know, coming into this year that, you know, this guy's punting the ball 50 to 60 yards. But now if you look at his average, it's still like 42, 43. And that's the same that Bradley Pinion's were. And we would go back and say, why is everybody hating on Bradley Pinion? Because his average is so low because of the lack of punting. Like his actual averages, you know what I mean? So the Niners actually, I don't know if a lot of you saw this, but the Niners actually had a punter trying out this week.
That's because he's Carolina's is a left-footed punter. That's
right.
That's all that was.
No, I know. That's what I was saying. But I don't know if a lot of people knew that we did that this week because of the fact that he's a left-footed punter and Carolina has a left-footed punter to get Richie James. I need to see Richie James break one, man. I know he's going to soon. I would love for it to be this game.
Yeah, man. I mean, give it to me every game.
When Richie James catches the football on a punt or a kickoff, he puts that energy, you know, onto the field. But I just can't stand the whole fair catch and then run out of the way. Like that shit drives me insane.
When he moves away from it?
Yeah. Like it's a catchable ball.
He's got to keep his heels on the 10-yard line and know the field conditions. Keeping your heels on the 10-yard line in a dry stadium versus in that slop fest that we were in last week are two different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he caught the ball way more in the slop game than he has in games with no rain.
Right. Which is more risky. Just let it bounce and go down. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That was my point. It's more risky to catch the football in those slop conditions than it was, especially in those. The ball would have just deadened because it was so filled with water. But, I mean, You could go back and look at the Rams game. You can go back and look at the Browns game. He's just fair catching and then getting out of the way and screaming at everybody get out the way instead of just catching it.
Right.
That's the only thing that makes me nervous.
One thing I do like about our punter, though, is that this guy, you know, when people look at the average punt distance, we have an offense that moves the ball. We might not score on every drive, but we move the ball. And so he's not punting from the opposite 20 every time. You know what I mean? He's punting from the 50-yard line. He can't. It's impossible to net 60 yards distance when you're punting and you only got 50 yards to kick it anyway. You get what I'm saying? And so I think what we should focus on is where he's pinning these teams more importantly. A lot of people say, oh, inside the 20 is good. I mean, if you're drafted as a punter, I want to see you pinning people inside the 15 and inside the 10. You know what I mean? That's where I want to see your directional kicks getting out of bounds, inside the 10-yard line. But all that kind of stuff is going to alter those numbers. I don't, 42, I don't care about the average of 42. It's where they're starting from is what I'm concerned with. And because our offense is so good, even when our offense is bad, we're still getting first downs and chunk plays on first down. Nick, you said yourself, we're averaging, what did you say, 6.5 yards on carry on first down?
On first and second downs, yeah.
So if that's the case, we're getting more first downs on first and second downs than we are on third downs. That's happening in the Shanahan offense. We're moving the ball. We might not get in the scoring range every time, but he's going to punt from where he's punting from. He's not punting from the opposite 20. He's not going from 20 to 20. So, Well,
right, and that was my point on Bradley Pinion last year was that he wasn't that bad of a punter. It was just he was punting from the 40, the 50 at times. You know what I mean? And it definitely is harder to pinpoint a punt, kicking it 60 yards compared to kicking it, trying to keep it at 30 yards. Mm-hmm. Big difference, you know what I mean? So
you don't want to overkick your coverage and things like that. There's a lot that goes on into it, and this team is actually doing things pretty smart. I like it a lot. So,
me too.
All right, to wrap up this whole Shanahan thing here, my whole Shanahan section disappeared. Oh no, here it is. My bad. All right, so to wrap up this whole thing, he said that the Panthers defense is really good. He says the closest thing I've seen to ours. Their front four, they get a lot of pressure with just their front four, allow them to keep 7 guys in coverage. So it's hard to pass on them. So let's start with Tony, then we'll go to Nick. What's the game plan? I know we talked about it with the run game and things like that earlier, but how do we combat a front four as good as ours? Let's just pretend we're going against this defense for real. What do you do?
You got to find the weakness. You got to I understand they're very talented, but you got to find the weakness on that front, whether it's interior or the edges, and run the ball at them. And you got to be successful. If you are successful, it's going to cause everybody to come up and start playing the run, and then that's when Kyle goes downfield. And that's where you could see Emmanuel Sanders, run one of those crazy-ass routes, and Jimmy hit him in stride, and it's 6. So the run game is going to be very important. To come out and try to run the ball, bring that defense up, let them play honest instead of playing back, because they are playing 7 in coverage, which means zone. And just try to get them, to come up and respect our run, which they should, because we do have a top 2, top 3 running offense in the league. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but that's why I think it's important to stick with the run. Show the run, stick with the run, and then you set up your play action passes.
Okay. So what you're saying is target Dontari Poe. I'll say it for you. I got you. With Kawan Short not being out there and he's on IR this year. Listen, the league is lucky that he's not out there with this unit. I'm telling you, they're lucky he's not out there with this unit. But let me get off of there. I know people say I always love opposing teams. So let me just chill. But
Gerald McCoy is on this line, right?
McCoy is out there. So is Poe, Burns. They have a really good line.
And their outside guys are undersized.
Hmm?
Their outside guys, their edge guys are undersized, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you see a lot of zone type runs this weekend. Because I don't really think you're gonna run at Gerald McCoy or Poe as much as you can on getting to the outside with our speed with Burns and who's our other edge guy? What's the other guy's name? Addison.
Yeah.
Addison. I
almost said Adonis.
Yeah, Adonis. I had a brain fart for a second there, but yeah, Addison. I would look to see more zone runs, and like Tony said, zone and then open up the play action. But right. I think you got to come out and this is, and I don't want to get too much into the keys of the game because obviously, But
That's what, yeah.
You got to establish the run. Like, you have to with this pass rush because they're dominant. You heard Kyle Shanahan himself say, this defense reminds me completely of ours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can rush 4, they can keep 7 back. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so definitely I think we got to establish the run, and I think that's like the main key is to shutting that pass rush down, is establishing a run.
I'm with you, man. I'm absolutely with you. All right, guys. Sunday. That's all I got for Shanahan. Anything from either one of you guys?
Shout out to the coach for the Yeezys, bro.
We're going to get to that. I promise. I swear we're going to get to that. Sunday is going to be a national holiday now, thanks to George Kittle, guys. We got National Donut Day. We got National Puppy Day. Now, we've got National Tight End Day. It's going to be official. The NFL is celebrating their first annual National Tight Ends Day. Thanks to George Kittle. They did a whole thing on it. I don't have the link. Otherwise, I would put it in the chat. But you guys should watch that and how that video came about. This is a pretty cool thing. I'm gonna let you guys speak on it. You guys can have your way with this one first. But this is pretty cool that George Kittle he's such a character that when he speaks, literally everybody listens. It's kind of cool that the Niners have struggled for so long to find a face of the organization. The good players weren't the vocal ones. Patrick Willis wasn't a guy you wanted in front of a microphone. I love Willis to death. People say I look like Willis. I don't see it, but people say I do. I love Patrick Willis to death. He is not a guy that you want talking at a podium, not over and over and all the time. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's that franchise quarterback, but you can tell he's shy. He's very laid back and, he's almost timid to a point. You know what I mean? But George Kittle is not that guy. He is outspoken. He is a character. Him and Joe Staley are probably the biggest ones. And sometimes with Joe Staley, it even feels a little forced. Your guys' thoughts on National Tight End Day and your thoughts on National Tight End Day, and does a tight end get in the end zone for us this game?
I'll go. You want me to go? Oh, it's good to have National Tight Ends Day. Kittle's one hell of a freaking tight end. And yeah, I do think Kittle gets in the end zone this week. Definitely. Once.
All right, Nick, what are your thoughts, man?
Dude, if he doesn't go off this game, starting the whole tight end, National Tight End Day, I could tell you that it just sucks because it really depends on Toilolo. Like George Kittle's production this weekend, it really, really comes down to what Toilolo does.
Right.
Because if Toilolo doesn't play, he's gonna have to stay in to get that rush game going, that run game going, which is gonna really, really handcuff George Kittle on what he can do. If Toilolo plays, look for Kyle Shanahan to call Kittle's number a lot, though, with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, because now if you have Emmanuel Sanders out there, you have to put – and I understand Luke Kuechly's a very, very good coverage linebacker, but I don't think he's keeping up with Kittle either. I really don't. But look for Kyle Shanahan to call his number a lot this weekend just because it's National Tight End Day and he started the whole thing. And Kittle's going to have that extra hype. And that's hard as shit to do. If you ever see George Kittle hype, it's really going to have a lot to do with it, though.
I don't know if that guy has another gear or another level.
Oh, he's got to, bro.
No way. And if he does,
I'm sure it's hard. I'm sure it's hard, but I think Kittle could get there, bro. I really think he can get there.
That's a scary thought. I don't even know what that would look or sound like. So Sunday is going to be a fun day. I think George Kittle is going to do a lot of dirty work. I don't think he gets in the end zone on Sunday. However, I think Levine Toilolo gets in the end zone against his own division rival. I do think Toilolo gets in there. So, and I think Kittle will be just as happy that a tight end got in there. That's my thoughts on it all. I don't have anything else on it. National Tight Ends Day. The only other thing was they asked Richard Sherman if he thought they should have a National Cornerbacks Day, and he was like, "Let me think on it some more. I'll get back to you guys about it." So, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. They went from one vocal guy saying, let's start National Tight Ends Day to another vocal guy, Richard Sherman, and just didn't have that same pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, we'll see what happens. But let's talk about Sherman and his pressers. All right. Richard Sherman started off by saying, these are just some of my bullet points. And if you guys have anything else that you think, you let me know. One of the first things I took away from it was that Sherman compared Emmanuel Sanders to himself in the DB room. He said Emmanuel Sanders will be the veteran voice in the wide receivers room the way that I am in the DB room. Is that what you guys think we brought Emmanuel Sanders in here for, to be the veteran? Like, share your thoughts with me on that.
I think it was both. I mean, obviously, we have a young receiving core right now. And even Marquise Goodwin's still young. He's not like I understand Marquise Goodwin's been in the league for a while, but he's not that, that type of caliber of a receiver that Emmanuel Sanders is, right? And we could probably all agree on that. When I'm talking veteran or leader, I'm not talking by age. I'm talking by experience. I'm talking by what he's done on the football field. He's won a Super Bowl, like that type of veteran preference, right? Or presence, sorry. And I think it's that, and it's somebody who can be counted on. Now, I know Emmanuel Sanders isn't a number one wide receiver, right? And you know how I am with number ones. I don't truly believe in number ones. Emmanuel Sanders could be that guy, though, as a go-to guy. Like, he's going to be able to run that short route and get you those 8 yards. He's got really good hands. He separates really good. And he still has a little bit of dusters for yards after catch. I mean, the guy did run a 4.3 40, which to bring you back is where you said, who are we talking about with Emmanuel Sanders?
Richard Sherman?
No, we were talking about somebody else that you said. Oh, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel ran a 4.41.
Oh, yeah.
And Emmanuel Sanders runs a 4.3. Now, I don't know if that's still his same speed because he's older, but he is going to be that guy. But the person that it benefits the most of Emmanuel Sanders on his team, I truly believe, is George Kittle. I truly believe that's who the benefiting guy is going to be on this team because of Emmanuel Sanders.
What do you think there, Tony?
I agree. Kittle's going to benefit from this big time. And it's going to take the pressure off of the other wide receivers. In my opinion, I think Emmanuel Sanders is a number one wide receiver on this team. Not including options. I'm just saying a wide receiver, he's number one. Kittle is truly the main. This offense is around Kittle. And another thing I just wanted to bring up, which is very interesting, and I kind of think this individual might have gotten Kyle's ear to bring him in as well. Wes Welker was a teammate of Emmanuel Sanders when he was in Denver, and they made that Super Bowl run with Peyton Manning at quarterback.
2014.
So I honestly think that not only is he coming in for productivity and to boost the play of the wide receivers, but he is going to play that role of Richard Sherman in that locker room or in that wide receiver room, not the locker room.
Yeah. I do think that this is interesting. I do think that Richard Sherman's role and Emmanuel Sanders' role are very similar. I'm going to sound like a hater when I say this. I didn't think that Richard Sherman was the most talented guy in the DB room when he was brought in. I didn't think that he was physically the most talented guy when he was brought in. And so when I look at Emmanuel Sanders, I kind of feel the same way. They're both coming off of injuries when they got to the team. They're both over 30 when they get to the team, or not really, because Richard Sherman just turned 30. He was 29, right, when I think he came with us, but he was about to be 30. And just like when Verrett came, everyone was like, oh, he's coming for Akello's job. And I said, no, I don't think it's Akello. If anybody's in trouble, Sherman's got to step up, right? Now, that doesn't mean that Sherman's not good. Sherman physically isn't who he used to be, but mentally he is just as sharp. He's probably even smarter. And so he has that veteran wherewithal to be a very valuable asset to your secondary. I think the same exact thing of Emmanuel Sanders. I don't think he's the fastest wide receiver. I don't think he's the most physically gifted. I don't think he has the fastest feet in the wide receiver room or any of that. However, he is enough of everything and veteran presence and wherewithal to be a very, very, very valuable piece to the wide receiver room. He can teach these guys how to study better. He can teach these guys X, Y, and Z. So I do think that's really, really good. And I love the comparison that Richard Sherman made between these guys. It's a really, really good thing there. And I heard Nick say that he thinks that George Kittle benefits the most from the Emmanuel Sanders signing. I will agree with that once both of our tackles come back. I know that sounds stupid, but once those guys get here, I think the way Kittle is used will then change. I think that. And then maybe even when Juice gets back, he might need to wait till all three of them come back to truly benefit from that. I didn't highlight that.
I did.
Oh, okay. My bad.
That's true right there, though. I will say that. That is true. This guy creates separation. He knows how to run a route, Mike. Watches.
Absolutely. But he doesn't have elite speed, though. His speed isn't the same as it was. It's
no,
not.
But it looks like the speed is there because of his ability to create separation. He doesn't need the elite speed because he tore his Achilles. So you're never going to be the same speed guy as you were.
I don't think he has elite speed as in running straight. But
he has
elite speed in and out of his breaks.
That's called quickness.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that speed or quickness to get in and out is really elite.
There's two. Listen, let me explain that. I'm not talking to you. I see the chat people. Oh no, it's speed. Here's speed. Speed is you're not catching me from behind. That's speed.
That breed is speed.
Right. That's exactly what Nick said. That straight line speed. He doesn't have that, but he's got that quickness. He's twitchy. He puts that foot in the ground and he cuts. Boom. 2 yards of separation from 1 foot being put in the ground. I'll give you quickness. Absolutely. And that also goes along with that sharp route running that's here in this comment. Yeah. And that's what I said. I said he's got the veteran wherewithal. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I'm calling it for what it is. He's not the same physical guy that he was 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's just not. It's impossible to be that. It's impossible to be that. All the games he's gone through, like Tony said, the injury, the Achilles and all that stuff. And he said he had a groin issue in that in the Tennessee game or something like that, right?
No,
knee. His knee was it's impossible to be that guy that he was before. Doesn't mean he's not good anymore. I never said that. So don't think I'm hating him.
Wrong. If you throw a good enough pass and he has the DB or and gets the right angle, he'll beat a safety.
Yeah, that goes for a lot of people.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like but if there's a guy right on him, I mean, you can watch it all this year. Like even this year in Denver, there were times he was wide open and going down the sideline and got caught. Like he can be caught from behind. But he's not a fast guy like Goodwin. He's not a fast guy like Breida, but he does have that elite separation and quickness to get in and out of breaks. And like you said, Mike, it's his sharp route running and the speed and explosion in and out of his breaks. So
there's probably only 2 wide receivers he's faster than on this team as far as straight line speed goes. There's probably only 2 on the roster that he's faster than straight line speed.
Well, he's definitely quicker than Trent Taylor. He's definitely quicker than Jordan Matthews.
I meant on the active. Well, Matthews is technically still here, right? So
yeah,
that counts. But I was talking about Pettis. I think he's got better straight line speed still than Pettis.
Nah, right? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't agree with that.
Ooh, that's bold.
Pettis isn't very quick at all, man.
I said he's got better speed than Pettis.
Oh, better, yeah.
I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I was going to say you were saying some bullshit.
No, I thought you were saying that there was 2 guys that were faster than him on this team, and Pettis was one of them. So that's my bad. I misconfused what you were saying. Him and Richie James would be a good one.
No, Richie James is so much faster than what people think. Richie James takes that. Tony, who do you think the second person is that I was talking about anyway?
Fast?
that I said Sanders is probably only faster than 2 wide receivers on the team right now.
Kendrick Bourne.
Yep. That's the other one. I think it's Bourne and Pettis are the 2 guys that he's faster than. I think Goodwin goes without saying. Richie James is super fast. He just doesn't get the looks for whatever reason it is. I don't know why. Debo is way faster than what people think. That's it, right? We have Debo, Bourne, James, then there's Sanders, Pettis. Wait, Debo, I didn't mean to say Bourne. It's Debo, Goodwin, James, then Sanders, Pettis, and Bourne. And Matthews. Those are the 7 wide receivers we have right now.
Yeah. Let's see here. Sanders. So this is a good thing to touch on real quick. Sanders has 30 catches on the year without a drop. Mm-hmm. This is what we need. I know Mike doesn't believe that we need guys we're bad at catching the football. So that's not a knock at him, but this is something good that we need. We need that guy to, like I was saying earlier, if you want to classify it as a number 1, a guy to go to that's going to have for sure hands and catch the football and move the chains. Definitely a big thing for us.
Guys don't bring their stats with them when they go to new places, guys. Just keep that in mind. All right? I'm not going to sit here and keep arguing the same thing over and over. We don't throw to wide receivers often. It's a big difference. It's easy to have
had to.
Right. That's my point. It's not saying that they can't do it. It's not to even say that they can do it. We don't throw to wide receivers often in the system right now. So just keep that in mind. He doesn't come here with 30 catches. He's a zeroed out guy now. All right. All of our wide receivers have 1 drop pass except for 1 guy. All of our wide receivers have only 1 drop pass. It's not that impressive of a stat. Let me see here. I'm still on Sherman, right? We were talking about Sherman.
Yeah.
Sherman made a comment here about Tartan Ward. Someone asked him about how was their relationship on the field and what he thought about them, right? This was funny to me. He said Tartan Ward are like, you ever see that movie Life? Right? And he says, and then someone Eddie and Martin, right? That's how he was. He said they argue a lot like an old married couple. This is what he said, right? And he said, but they communicate openly and critically with each other. So it's a really good thing. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that because these 2 have known each other since high school. These guys have known each other since high school. How do you think that helps, or is it a detriment to the secondary that they're so familiar with each other that they argue in the huddle? Richard Sherman said the play is being called, and they're still going, well, Tart just did this. Well, Jimmy did this. And like they're going back and forth with each other while in the huddle. How do you guys think that affects the team, whether it's positive or negative?
I don't think it's that bad because the defense, the back end of the defense has been playing pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
shit. I'm sorry. This is great.
That's why I just said that. You're going to eat your corn.
Yeah.
Because that's all I remember from that movie, man. Like, they're sitting at the table. He's like, you going to eat that cornbread?
Don't be scared. I got to go on mute. I'm sorry.
But, Mike, I'm surprised you actually seen that movie because you don't see any good movies. But anyway, I don't know how to take that because they could just be bickering, you know what I mean, back and forth. Like it couldn't be a full blown out argument like they're against each other. You know what I mean? Like me and you do. We bicker. You know what I mean? But we have that people that don't know us behind camera doesn't know what our friendship is like. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing. Like we still get business done. We get in arguments. We still fight. We still bicker, but that's all out of love. You know what I mean? Like we're true friends. So you may be mad at me tonight, but we're going to pick up the phone tomorrow and say, hey, how's everything going or whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's the kind of relationship they have. They have a true friendship. They've grown up in high school. They played in the same college, right? Sanford?
No.
They went to different colleges?
Mm-hmm.
So where did Jimmy Ward go?
Northern Illinois.
Oh, that's right. Northern Illinois. And Tart went to Sanford, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they even supposedly talked to Ward about drafting Jaquiski Tart to bring him there. So, I mean, like Tony was saying, I think it's just this locker room, dude. Like, I'm sure there's so many jokes and cracks. I listened to this Weston Richburg was on, I think, KMBR the other day, right, as a guest. And they asked him who the funniest dude on the team is. And I'm thinking, this dude's going to say Joe Staley. He says Mike Person. People are like, you don't know what Mike Person's, like, vibe is, like how he is. You know what I mean? Like how he is in the locker room. And if I were to ask you today, who's the funniest person in the locker room, who would you think?
Oh, Joe, Kittle.
Yeah, I think the majority of people will go with Kittle
for funniest.
Yeah, I think he's past Joe as like the biggest personality and the funniest guy.
All right, so but it wouldn't be like a Mike Person,
no.
Right? So it would either be most people. You'd probably get Joe Staley's and George Kittle's, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Joe Show, just who Joe Staley has been throughout this organization, and now you have Kittle climbing up that rocker, and then you have Mike McGlinchey coming in there too, as Joe Staley is like Bonnie and Clyde with Mike.
Their bromance.
Yeah, like a bromance. So, but that just to show us that we don't really see what these personalities are in the locker room, because a lot of people have different personalities inside a locker room compared to on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So Mike Person, you would never think is a funny dude. You just think, like, you seen that picture of him. Dude looked like he was just like ready to go kill somebody's cow. Like he was just that serious, you know what I mean? And he looks like a farm boy, like, okay. But it's just, that's what I'm just trying to touch on that, because I don't think it bothers the secondary, like Tony said.
Yeah. I think
balling out. Huh? I said they're balling out, so it doesn't really affect them.
I think it's absolutely a positive, and the main reason is because when you are that close with somebody, criticism isn't taken the wrong way, because then it might offend you. I can say something that's going to piss you off. I know it's going to piss you off, but like you said, you're coming right back later on. Like, all right, like we got to get over this thing. That's hard to do if you don't know people. It's really, really hard to do if you don't know someone well. Just criticizing someone. And on-field communication, hey, get your together. Like, you did this when you should have done that. You bobbed when you should have weaved. Like, we got to get this right now. You might not like it, but you know it's coming from a well-intentioned place. You know what I mean? And so that changes everything. And I think
that's what makes teams so good.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yep.
You can only get better with people giving you constructive criticism.
As long as you take it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. As long as you have to be able to take constructive criticism to get better. And that's where this team is gelling. That's where this team plays as one. They're not, like we've talked about all years, they're not for just their stats. They're not for, I need to get 3 sacks this game.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Those accounts definitely got hacked.
Really?
Same time, 5:58, October 25. Eric Reed, George Kittle, never heard of her.
How does somebody hack an entire team? Like, no way.
I don't know,
these got to be images that someone are just making now. Someone's editing these images, right? Put it up. Let's see. Other way. Hold on. Here we go. He said never heard of her.
Yeah.
Get the bro.
You retweeted
the likes and retweets. This has got to be fake, right?
No, I didn't retweet it. So
no. I know that. I'm saying, but look at the number. Never heard of her, bro. That is great.
He does have a nice hair flip.
That's crazy, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
oh well.
That's funny though.
All right, let's keep the show moving, guys. I'm sorry. We've been dragging this thing. I can't believe we've gone over an hour already, man. All right, so this was something else I thought was funny. So Richard Sherman draws the comparison to life, right? And then Matt Mayoko tries to ask him, "Oh, well, Nick Bosa had a movie for you too. What do you think of that? He's like, oh, I love Nick Bosa. He's a kid playing a man's game, and he plays like a man. He's like, yeah, but what do you think of the movie comparison? Oh man, Nick is a great guy. And then he moved on to the next question. Richard Sherman had no fucking idea what Matt Mayoko was talking about at that part of the presser. He had no clue, and he didn't want to say it at the microphone. He kept trying to just talk over it, right? So, do you know? Do either one of you guys know what the movie comparison was that Nick Bosa made about Richard Sherman?
Yeah.
Finding Nemo?
No.
What was it?
It was Ice Age.
He said he was like the squirrel, right?
Trying to get a nut. And but Richard Sherman even said on that mic'd up, he said, man, I love you. I love you.
Yeah. It was like he didn't understand the reference and just changed the subject.
Yeah.
He did it twice on the same thing, man. It was crazy to me. I was like, yo, look at Sherman trying to deflect and just keep it moving. You know what I mean? But they did a good job in the pressers of keeping it moving and not harping on it. And that's the professionalism of Matt Mayoko. Because if that was someone else, they would have tried to come back to it and say, oh, well, maybe you didn't get it or whatever. Someone would have tried to like talk him into understanding what it was. And I like how he did a good job. So, all right.
Do you know? Hold on. Let me ask you this. Do you know in that mic'd up what Nick Bosa told him to call him?
What told him to call who? Who's him and call who?
Bosa told Sherman.
To call who what?
So Sherman was saying to him in that mic'd up, he was saying, big bear, little bear, small bear. What is it again? And then he said, you can just call me.
You can just call me. Fuck. Oh, freak. You're going to say it and I'm going to remember. And I can't remember right now. I'm going to be pissed off when you say it too.
Tony, do you remember?
Do you remember?
No.
He said, just call me bare legs.
Yeah, there it is right there. Yep.
Yeah, call me bare legs.
Stupid. I missed it. Dang it, man. Whatever. Shut up. Stupid trivia.
Hey, just because they're all little things that you like listen for,
No, you're right. And like I said, I was gonna remember as soon as you said it. I should have. I can't believe it. All right, let me see what we have left here. We talked about Sherman. We talked about National Tight End Day. We have Jimmy Garoppolo left, Kendrick Bourne, and Sanders. You guys pick which one you want to go over next.
What do we got?
We have Jimmy Garoppolo. We have Kendrick Bourne from his ride along, which is super short. We have Sanders.
Let's save Bourne for last for the ride along. Let's go with Jimmy first.
All right. So they started off the presser asking Jimmy Garoppolo about his new toy and Emmanuel Sanders. He said Sanders is a playmaker who makes a quarterback look good, quick in and out of his routes, along with strong hands, right? And he said that they even shared rehab stories when they were doing the joint practice in Denver. Okay. He said that he thought that this was that the wide receiver shouldn't take it the wrong way, that they added another. He said that the wide receiver shouldn't take it another way, that they added another wide receiver to the room, and that it should just step up the competition. You know what I'm saying? Like it should push everybody and motivate everybody. All right, so this is my question here. You guys can comment on everything I just said, but my question to you guys is, Jimmy Garoppolo is telling the wide receivers how to feel about another wide receiver coming in there and taking snaps away from them, taking targets away from them. They were barely getting in the first place. But his excuse was, it's just competition is going to make everybody better. If they brought in another quarterback into that room, you think Jimmy would feel the same way? Let's be real here. And just for circumstances' sake, right? Let's just pretend they brought in Alex Smith. Do you think Jimmy Garoppolo wouldn't feel threatened to be like, oh, it's just going to up the play of everybody else? It's easy to say that when you have a guy – never mind. Let me be quiet. What are your guys' thoughts on that? On everything I said, Jimmy said so far, and whether or not you think he would have the same feeling if they brought a quarterback into that room with him. Let's go with Tony, and then we'll go to Nick.
I think if Jimmy's truly the competitor that we all think he is, I think it wouldn't bother him because, he's by having him there is only going to up his play because a competitor looks for a challenger. The problem is the guys that are content and like, oh, I'm the starter of the San Francisco 49ers, and you bring a veteran in, it's like, oh shit, like, you know what I'm saying? So. I agree with what he's saying, and I think he would take it as a competitive way.
I think it goes to the same type of question that was asked to Kendrick Bourne about bringing him in there. It's competition. Like you're playing at the highest level of football. There's no higher. Every day is a competition, and we've talked about this before on the show. You need to show up every day, or your job can be taken. You've seen people with injuries. You see guys playing well, get injured, somebody else come in with a hot hand and stay in. You know what I mean? It may not be one day, but it is one day technically because the day before that, before your slight injury, look at the C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins thing. C.J. Beathard could have came back, but he didn't because Nick Mullins was playing better, and that led into this year. So, to me, at that level, no matter who you bring in, you still need to do your job and prove that you need to be there. Like, I don't think it's a shot at any of our receivers. I don't think it'd be a shot at Jimmy Garoppolo, like bringing somebody else in, but you should feel threatened. Every person on this team should feel threatened when somebody else is brought in, because that means that somebody or something isn't getting done correctly, and you need to prove and take the competition and make it yours, because nothing should be given. If Nick Mullins came out and started balling and still kept us winning, if something happened to Jimmy or, knock on some real wood, but, that's where you get into those. You go back and look at how Tom Brady got his job. Drew Bledsoe was balling out, got hurt, never looked back. So to me, it's a competition-based league, man. And each day you got to continue to work hard. It's not like we're going into our job and we have somebody breathing down our neck to take it. Look at Mike. We just talked about this earlier. Akello Witherspoon and Emmanuel Mosley. Both of them were playing lights out. Good football. This team has a decision to make when they come back. So, to me, I mean, that's just the nature of the business. I don't think there should be anybody that should feel – they should all feel threatened every day. You should go out each day like it's a new day and that you're not the starter, and you need to stay that way.
So do you think Jimmy was out of line for telling the wide receivers they shouldn't feel threatened and just rise to the occasion? He was saying that he doesn't think that they're going to feel threatened and just steps up because look, if you watch the post game pressers from the previous game, you know how they do the guys at the podium, they get their own little spotlight thing, but then there's the ones in the locker rooms, right? And they talked to Kendrick Bourne after the thing. And he said, look, every time I talk to Richie James, I tell him, hey, look, we're third stringers. We have to make the most of every opportunity we get out here, right? That is not going to change. Guys like Richie James and Kendrick Bourne, when Emmanuel Sanders comes in, we're still at the bottom of the totem pole. We know where we are already. But that doesn't mean that that's how Dante Pettis feels. It doesn't mean that that's how Deebo Samuel feels. So how do you guys think it affects those guys? Break it down to the Bourne and I'm sorry, let me put my hand here. Break it down for Bourne and James, how you think it affects them, and then how do you think it affects Pettis and Samuel?
All right. Tony, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Whatever, I don't care.
All right. So there's a difference right now, and I'm going to explain. All right. If it was a team, I'm gonna take it from my observation, right? If it was a team that I had no idea about, and your quarterback said that these guys shouldn't be threatened, I would agree with him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I wouldn't agree with him. But the way that our team is and how they play for each other, I agree with what he's saying. There shouldn't be a threat because he's just an added piece to make us better.
Mm.
So, and I'm only saying that because I know what our team is. Our team isn't about their stats. Our team isn't about what they're going to do today. It's about what the team is going to do. So that's how I would look at it, Mike, is like if it was another team I had nothing to do about, I would kind of think that he was wrong and say, well, this guy's being brought in to take one of these people's jobs. But I really don't think that's the case here. I still think Jordan Matthews is the odd man out if Trent Taylor or Jalen Hurd come back. And that's the way it is. I still think Bourne's fine. I think Pettis is fine. I think James, I think all these guys are fine. So I don't know how much you heard, Mike, of what I was saying there, but that's kind of how I would base it off this team is I'm with Jimmy on it. I don't think it's to threaten somebody, but as the players should feel, they should still feel like they need to continue to produce. But I just don't see that with our team right now. I see it as they see it as another piece to get to the end goal of where they want to get.
All right, Tony, man, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, man.
I agree. I think like if you brought in like a player like Odell Beckham at 25 years old, then it would be a threat because he's young, he's going to be around, they're investing big money in him. Sanders is 32, and he's brought in to help this offense, not take over the offense. But talent-wise, in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure other people will agree, he is probably the best and most experienced receiver, not tight ends and options, receiver on this roster right now. I agree with Jimmy 100%. I don't think there's hard feelings. I don't think there's, oh, shit, he brought this guy in. Who the hell are they? Why are they doing this? Da, 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 da. I don't see that. I see it as adding a piece to get to everyone's goal, and that's to win the Super Bowl.
It's weird for me, man, because I see so many people saying that the wide receivers need to step up, right? The wide receivers don't throw themselves the ball. The wide receivers don't call the plays. The wide receivers aren't the reason we're running the ball so much. We're running the ball so much to keep the defense fresh and because we're up in games. The 49ers haven't trailed a lot in the NFL this year at all. It hasn't happened a lot.
The most they trailed by 7 points.
Exactly.
All season.
Exactly.
And when they were down by 7, they answered right back with a touchdown.
Every single time. There's no need to throw the ball a whole bunch. And so this whole, they have to step up. They're not stepping up. They're not stepping up. When are they supposed to step up? The team hasn't called on them. They haven't called their number yet. And so I don't understand that logic. But this is what I will say, man. I think it was cheap for Jimmy Garoppolo to say that these guys should not feel threatened. You don't bring in a wide receiver and tell me I shouldn't be threatened if I am a wide receiver. It doesn't make any sense to me. You're bringing him in because you think he brings something to the table that I don't already have. Right? Am I wrong?
You're right, but then you're wrong because, like I just said, he's 32 years old. He's not going to be the future of the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver corps. What might they bring him back? Yeah, they might. I think they are on a fair deal. But listen, all these guys, they're going to look up to Emmanuel Sanders. He's experienced. He played in the Super Bowl. He statistically blows them all out of the water. Now, if it comes down to a big game in crunch time and you need a play, I don't think Kyle was confident enough to call a play for a receiver. I think now he is with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders.
Wow.
Third and something. You got to understand something. The success in an NFL is all about, putting time in, studying, watching film, knowing the defense, knowing where the soft spots are. These guys are going to be there eventually, but Deebo Samuels was just in South Carolina. The other guy, Pettis, was in Washington 2 years ago. Was injured last season, came strong towards the end. There's not real NFL game experience. If you want to say Goodwin is, yeah, okay, but he never
big game experience, right?
Exactly.
I
he never was like a key part of an offense.
Mm-hmm.
He was a situational, and he's not a knock against Goodwin. He was a situational player.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like I said before, his age is a factor, and I just think they all have one goal, and that's to win a Super Bowl, and that's that.
All right. So
learn on the job.
He's here to teach the young fellas how to be clutch. He's not the future; they are. It's their opportunity to learn from him on the field.
A perfect example is look at Richard Sherman, what he did with Mosley, what he's doing with Witherspoon. He's telling these guys, listen, you see this, look for that. If he does this, jump on that. Like he's giving them all tidbits off of experience. And I think that's what Sanders is going to do to the wide receiver core.
But then you said to yourself earlier in this episode that Sanders and Welker played on the same team just 5 years ago.
Yes.
That's what Welker's for.
I understand that, but Sanders
Welker
is on the field.
Way more big games and clutch situations than Sanders has.
Sanders is on the field. Welker's not.
So you think it could be received differently from your peer as opposed to your superior? All right, that's fair. That's
perfect example is look what Richard Sherman is doing.
I feel you.
You have Joe Woods as your defensive back coach, and Sherman still gives his tips and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's leadership. I mean, it's different. There's leadership on the field and there's leadership during practice. Mm-hmm. And you need that leadership on the field. Like, you heard George Kittle before say, like, he goes in and jokes around with Jimmy Garoppolo in the huddle, but you also hear George Kittle say when Jimmy speaks, everybody turns to him and listens. So you have that leader in the quarterback. And you also get that, let's go back. And I hate to bring this up, but it's kind of like, did you hear that? Did you watch that interview with Marshawn Lynch about the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
So when he said, let the young guys do it. Mm-hmm. I've been here. You know what I mean? Let them do it. And that's kind of the leadership type thing is okay, so Debo's out there and he's young, and you hear Emmanuel Sanders, who's been there, won a Super Bowl, and say to him, you got this. This is what you need to do. This is how you're going to do it, and you got this. So there's a difference between being in the huddle, being a leader, and being a coach on the practice field and teaching. And then it comes down to having each other's backs and instilling that confidence in the young receivers or the young offensive lineman or a young linebacker. We've seen, as much as we don't want to say it, or I don't know if either of you will say it or not, but fans in general, Quan Alexander has upped Fred Warner's play.
Absolutely.
Right? Because of his leadership and the energy he brings on the field. Because Fred Warner, don't get me wrong, played a hell of a position last year, hell of a linebacker last year, but you see the difference in his game this year, as in coaching off field and his energy level on field. And that's because that's where that leadership role comes in. That's where that leadership role in field and in the huddle and on the field comes in play. And that's big. That's something that we are lacking on the field in certain positions. You have it with Richard Sherman in the corners and the DBs, or just any of the DBs. Now you have it in the receiving core with Emmanuel Sanders and the young receivers. You have it in Jimmy Garoppolo. You have it in George Kittle as a tight end. You have it in Weston Richburg and Joe Staley on the offensive line. So we're building and bringing in these leaders that are going to lead you on the field. And I think that's a huge difference this year for this team.
I agree.
Yes, as do I. I like it. I like it a lot, man. And these guys do absolutely make differences when they're out there on the field and talking to, like I said, peers versus superiors. So it's a big, big difference, guys. It's a huge difference. So it makes it easier. That it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the relationship between Tart and Ward. It's seeing eye to eye. We're the same here. We're on the same level. Let's get this thing rocking.
And Emmanuel, and just one other thing real quick before we move on. Emmanuel Sanders could come in here and he's going to produce, but with just the presence of him and people knowing who he is, he's going to allow and give the opportunity to the younger guys to produce and learn from what they're doing and gain speed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's also, I mean, that's just one of the reasons that it's a huge addition.
Yeah. I have another comment here from Jimmy's thing, but I think I should save it for the preview and like when we're trying to come up with schemes. So I'll read it, and then you guys let me know if we should save it or not. All right. I have 4 guys without pressure, 4 guys without a lot of extra pressure mentioned by Shanahan. Also, Jimmy mentioned this twice throughout his presser, and I wrote, should we be surprised to see a little more blitzing from the Panthers to catch the 49ers off guard? They seem to be focused on 4 only rushing the passer. But you guys think we should save that for the preview show, right?
Yeah.
That's more of a scheme thing. We should save that one. All right, so we'll get back to that one later on. That's all I have for Jimmy's presser. That leaves us with Sanders and then Kendrick Bourne. And Kendrick Bourne's paragraph is like this. So we can do Sanders really quick, and then we'll save Kendrick Bourne for the end. All right. So one thing that I thought was really interesting here was when Sanders said that he didn't know much about the offense, but he said the defense is what left a lasting impression on him. So this was when he was talking about the joint practice. So he didn't know much about Shanahan's offense at that time. Now, Rich Gangarella had just got there. I mean, we're a couple of weeks in at that time during the joint practice and everything like that. He said, but the defense left a lasting impression from the joint practice. He said, I remember going out there and just looking at that defensive line. It was like, man, these guys are huge, right? When the reason I don't know how to really phrase this question, but talk about the impression that the defensive line must have left for this guy to go through the entire offseason, the getting the playbook, studying the playbook and all that. And then when they have their joint practice, we did the joint practice with the Broncos. It was the 2nd or 3rd week of preseason. Which one was it?
Second
week of preseason, right? He had already gone through a preseason game. Now, I understand that he was rehabbing, so he wasn't practicing as much and all that early on. But all he had was time to study the playbook. And then to sit there and say, I wasn't as familiar with the playbook, but those defensive guys really stood out to me. That's what I remember the most from the joint practice. I think they had to have left a really big, lasting impression. How do you guys interpret that? Or am I just looking into it too much like I always do with random things?
Well, I'm sure he saw the defense. I mean, firsthand. Listen, man, you can't take it away. The defense is – we have a good defense here. We got a lot of talent on our front 7, but I guess coming from him, on an opposing team going against us in those practices, those joint practices, it's you should feel good, and he was really impressed.
Yeah, I mean it just shows you that what we've heard all training camp and what we heard all off season, and then what we're seeing now, the byproduct of what we're seeing now, is that. We heard before we started preseason games and before we started games and, when we were in training camp and things, we heard about Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 5 interceptions, and we heard about the pressure, and we heard about how Nick Bosa was beating up on Joe Staley, these things. And like, we just didn't believe in those. Not that we didn't believe in them, but it was just like, okay, I'm not going to believe into this hype until we see it. You know what I mean? Well, that's me personally. I wasn't going to believe into the media hype. Like, okay, these guys are just doing this, or how much emphasis they put on Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 5 interceptions in practice, right? And then now you look back at it and you hear from Emmanuel Sanders and say, well, I took notice to those guys doing in individuals, how big they were, how fast they came off the ball. And, I seen this, like what they were going to be, and then take it from there to what we're seeing on the field. And it all just adds up. And it's a good thing to have, is to hear what these people talk about. And, you always hear the cliche things when you hear other teams talk about going up against us or us going up against them. It's all cliche. And you're like, oh, well, that's what they're supposed to say, that they have a really good front 4. They do this, they do that. They do this well, they do that well. But it's just a good feeling knowing that they're not just saying that right now, like about us, because we're allowing 10.7 points per game. We're only allowing 123 or whatever it is yards passing. You know what I mean? So we're seeing the byproduct of what people are actually saying now. So Emmanuel Sanders saying that is a good compliment to this team as to what he saw going up against them in training camp and practice and things like that, and then into the game. And you didn't really see those guys play that week either.
Right.
So in that preseason game. So we didn't even know. Even if Emmanuel Sanders would have said it then, I would have just thought, oh, well, that's just another team saying that because that's what they're supposed to say. But now that you look back at it, it's like, oh, he really was not bullshitting.
All right. Yeah. That's true. It's a good way to reflect on it all, right? I didn't have all right. So if you guys took anything away from the Sanders interview, let me know, because I felt like he went in there and said a lot of cliche things like what you're expected to say. Oh, I'm excited about new beginnings, and I love the old team I was with, and I made a lot of good relationships there and all that. It was just time to move on. I mean, he said a lot of like insert player on new team comments. You know what I mean? Like he said a lot of the typical stuff there. We already talked about one of the things I had written down here was how he said it was weird from sharing a locker room with Wes in 2014 to being coached by him. But he said the communication is really good between the two of them. We don't need to dwell on that anymore. He said when Shanahan was in Atlanta, Sanders said that he wanted to know more about that offense. And then like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, like 20 seconds later, he was like, I couldn't wait to go home and tell my wife head coach was wearing Yeezys. I have like little tiny tidbits. What's up?
The one thing I took away from it the most was at the end, and that was about his free agency coming up. And
yeah, I have that here also. Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I took from it, where he said, I've made my share of money. I've only got 2, possibly 3 years left in this league. I want to win games. And then somebody said, well, will that be a factor in where you decide to sign in free agency? Now, I think if we can win here and this team wants him back, he'll be back. Mm-hmm. So you guys all heard me how I was a little bit nervous about giving up what we gave up to have a guy for a rental for 10 to 12 to whatever amount of games it is for a year, right? For the rest of his contract. You're paying him $6 million or $10 million. I'm sorry, because he's a $12 million. I think it's $10 million is on our books now for him. But, I was worried about that. But then when I heard him talk at his presser and say what is going to factor in him in free agency, I have all the faith in the world that this team can win. And I have all the faith in, because he said, I just want to have fun. I want to be in a good locker room, and I want to win football games. And right now, the Niners have all 3 of those phases. So to me, it makes it look a lot better for him to come back. And he's not looking for that lucrative contract, crazy amount of contract that we can get him on a Parag Marate contract for 2 years. So if he only has 2 years left, I think that if we continue to win, I think even if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, but we compete, he's going to fit right in with this locker room. He's going to want to continue to build off of what we did this year and move forward. And I think it helps us out and getting him back next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your thoughts on that all, Tony? Because you're absolutely right, Nick. He was definitely talking about how the money is not it's not about the money anymore. I've made plenty of money already. So your thoughts on that? I was going back and forth with you and Nick asking whether or not you think this is a one year rental, not even 1 year. I said at most we get this guy for 12 games. That's assuming we go to the playoffs. So your thoughts on all that, Tony?
I agree. I think he's going to be back. I told you that in the beginning. I think he's going to be back. For what they gave up to him, he's not – what they gave up for him, he's not a 1 year rental. He's going to be back. He's going to be a part of this offense going forward. You can see the 49ers make moves in the receiving core who they have currently. Like, I don't want to throw out names now, but there could be changes coming in the receiving core. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I listen, I think he's going to be a nice piece of this team going forward. Even if we sign him to like a 2 year, 3 year extension, instead of letting deal with team options to get out of the deal, like, Parag does. But,
I don't know if I'm him. I'm signing a deal like that. Don't give me a deal with incentives. Like I'm at the end of my career. Incentives aren't likely to be made. Don't give me a deal where you can get out of it easy. I'd rather my guarantees be low but be guaranteed than guarantees up here and you can cut me and I don't get any of it. You get what I'm saying? I think that if you're in the twilight of your career, you got to be looking for security at the point. And I know he said it's not all about money. That's why I said give me lower guarantees, but give me enough to keep me here. And I mean, what am I supposed to do about? You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do about incentives? You guys control that stuff. So I do think he wants to win though, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. The only other thing that I took from all of this was that he mentioned when him and Sherman rehab from the same injury, Sherman needed sutras, and he didn't. What the hell are sutras? Either one. I tried Googling it. I don't know how to spell it.
There's stitches inside stitches.
They're dissolvable stitches.
Yeah.
They dissolve.
He didn't need that. So that means that his tear wasn't as bad as Sherman's.
Right. Sherman had multiple tears.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I tried Googling sutures.
Sutures.
If you Google sutures.
Like internal stitches.
Bro, like I said, I probably spelled it wrong because the stuff that was coming up on my phone. Are you sure you're 18? I was like, wait, whoa. One of the cool things I did hear though about this was about his healing process, and then I'm done with him. He said that he avoided drinking alcohol. Right now, alcohol is a natural blood thinner. Is that why? Because it thins the blood, and I guess blood in circulation is part of the healing process.
Alcohol and smoking slow down recovery process
because of it thinning out your blood. I'm assuming.
It kills your oxygen level.
Smoking.
So does alcohol.
Really?
Yeah, because it thins your blood, and then it lowers your O2 level in your body, which is what heals your bone.
I know smoking and the oxygen, I gathered that correlation, and I figured alcohol and thinning your blood. I didn't think that alcohol.
But when your blood thins, your body works harder and you lose oxygen inside your body.
Oh, shit.
Because your heart pumps way more faster, and it's not putting out the exact amount of oxygen that your body should be putting out inside your body.
You learn something new every day, man. All right. That's bad because I work for a respiratory company. I should know these things.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, we have Kendrick Bourne here. And this is going to be very, very short, very sweet. But Kendrick Bourne did the ride along with Kiana Martin. Very fun episode, but it was a really short episode, right? So, Mike, did either one of you guys see this thing?
Yeah, I watched it.
Bro, where everybody you talk to in this locker room says Kendrick Bourne is the music guy. He's the music guy. Kendrick Bourne keeps the team hyped with his music. They played hits from the 90s, and Bourne had no idea what these songs were. None at all. I wish I could play him and see if Tony would know him, but I know Tony would know these songs. I know for a fact Tony would know these songs, but I don't want to play them and then we get in trouble on YouTube. But I would love to know how many people knew these songs as soon as it happened. Nick, what were your thoughts on Kendrick Bourne and not knowing Scrubs by TLC?
Bro, as soon as I seen it, I'm like, my head started shaking like, oh, and he's just like, my mom loves this song. But I'm just like, dude, this guy is supposed to be this music genre guy, and he can't even tell me who sings Scrubs.
Bro.
And Kiana called him out on it too, and she was like, you got to wait for the chorus?
Yeah, she was shocked. Now, Nick and I did some research. He was born in what, 93 or 95? What did we say?
94, I think.
He was born in 94. Some of these songs came out like at the same time he was born. Do you get a pass for that though? Do you get a pass for that? He's born in the same decade and you never heard Scrubs? Like, come on. Scrubs.
Bro, that song has been out for so many years, and it's right. Like it wasn't even like it was a one hit year wonder or whatever you want to say. TLC is TLC.
Right.
If you know one TLC song, you know all a TLC song.
Right. Waterfalls, like
right.
Oh, come on, man. Like Red Light.
Red Light Special.
Yeah.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Like Scrubs. Like they're their 3 major hits, and if you don't know those, you don't know TLC.
And the craziest part about that song in particular is like the first second of that song, you know exactly what it is. Like the strings, no other song has emulated those strings in the very beginning of it. That is reserved for that song especially. But it got worse. You don't know Scrubs, I can give that to you because maybe it's like maybe it was like, that was a women's anthem. I didn't listen to that. I could come up with a reason why you don't know that.
But you would still know it. That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like, even if it was a woman's song or not. If you know Waterfall and Red Light Special, you know
Too Proud to Beg.
because all the girls would sing it, even at the club. It would come on all the time.
Right.
Even in the 2000s.
Man. Oh, man, it was crazy. But he did worse. Anthony, Tony, this one song he didn't know, and it really offended me. It pissed me off. Montel Jordan's "This Is How We Do It."
He didn't know that?
No.
He didn't know it. Like, at least with the TLC song, he was singing along with it, like, so you could tell that he had heard it before. The Montel Jordan joint, it was worse. It was worse. He had no idea what it was, bro.
Dude, this is how I was listening. This is how I was watching it.
I laughed so much during this segment, man. And Kendrick, man, you got to brush up on your 90s. I want to do a re-quiz with him, and I bet he knocks it out.
Dude, you play football. You don't know that TLC burned down Andre Rison's house? Right?
It was Left Eye. Don't blame all of them for that. That was Left
Eye. Who did I say?
You said TLC, but I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, Left Eye.
Yeah. It was. Oh my God, man! She had Atlanta on fire, literally. All right, guys, that's all I got for tonight, man. This has been a long hour, 45-minute or so show. Let me see here. We talked Sanders, Bourne, Shanahan, Garoppolo, Sherman, National Tight Ends Day. Those are all the notes that I have from the pressers. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
I just want to remind the fans that Kyle Nelson's back.
Hey!
Suspension, and hopefully this improves the field goals with Robbie Gould and the holder. More consistency.
So if Nelson comes back and Robbie Gould misses a field goal like he's going to do this week, are we still going to blame the holder and the long snapper? Are we going to blame the exchange?
Well, you can't blame it on a long snapper.
So then we're gonna blame the this is never gonna stop. Robbie Gould is perfect. He's got every excuse in the world.
No,
it's never gonna be his fault, is it?
He's clearly. I mean, listen, there's a couple botches. Like, it's not Robbie's fault, but then there was a couple ones that were smooth and he just.
Yeah, and like I said to you, what was it last week, Mike? I think that I started coming back on him a little bit, as into what he's doing. The ball just doesn't look like it's coming off his foot right. Like,
bro, that one that he pulled hard to the left, it was ugly from his stand. I don't know if he slipped. It was bad from the beginning to the end. I'm 30. I saw someone ask. I'm 35 right now. I'll be 36 next month.
Russo just asked who gets cut for Nelson being back. Sanborn was cut.
Yeah, he was already cut. But we haven't made a corresponding move for signing Sanders yet. And that's something that I don't understand how the league has allowed this to go on for so long.
Because they got
you get a week.
They have an exemption. That's right.
Yeah, you get that week exemption for Kyle Nelson.
Wait, it's a whole week?
Yeah.
So we get to keep him on the league he can play?
I think it goes till Tuesday.
Kyle,
we can get 54 players on until Tuesday?
No, I think they got to drop somebody before the game day.
So we can keep 54 until game day.
It was a week from the time that they brought him off the IR or off
suspension list.
Off the physically unable or whatever suspension list. It's a week from that time. I think they have till Saturday to make up the decision on if he's going to play, because he gets a week to practice and see if the team wants to keep him or not.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay.
So they can release him.
Well, they already released a long snapper, so we know he's going to make the roster.
Right.
So they still have to make a corresponding move for adding Samuels. we all just think that's going to be Matthews, right?
Well, no, because right now they're at 53, aren't they?
No, they're at 54 with Nelson being
They're 54.
I mean, he's exempt, but we know he's going to make the roster is what I'm saying. So as soon as he officially makes the roster, we're back at 54 and we got to cut somebody. It's got to be Matthews. It can't be anyone else. Who else is it going to be?
Yeah, I would say it's Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely think that it's Matthews too.
I see people saying Dante Johnson, but Johnson is here because Akello is out. Johnson is our backup corner right now. Akello's not back yet. So
special teams.
Yeah, and special teams. So Akello, Johnson's not going anywhere until Akello comes back. So what was it? I got a big question. What do you do when Weatherspoon is ready to return? Mosley. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit earlier on, and all I've got is it's a good problem to have. I think as good as Mosley is playing right now, I think Akello was playing better, and playing more because Akello was actually being targeted more than Mosley has been. Mosley has benefited from us having some really ugly games these last 2 games. He had the slot bowl, the mud bowl, and then he had that game against the Rams where Goff couldn't do anything, and he benefited from that also. Where when Witherspoon was in there, these guys were throwing at Witherspoon, and Witherspoon was actually making more plays. Not to take away anything from Mosley, but I think that Akello showed that even when they're targeting me, I can do it. Mosley is more doing he's kind of staying under the radar and he's not being targeted as much. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked this question before. I asked this question to you before is what are you going to be in when this predicament comes up? And, do you leave Matt Mosley in playing and keep Akello back there, or do you bring him right back in? Do you switch Mosley and, try to get him on the field, or do you just, allow him to keep getting better? But I definitely think that you can't put Witherspoon the way that he was playing. Now, if Witherspoon was having up and down year, I would leave Mosley in, but you can't put Witherspoon on the bench right now the way that he was playing. Like, you just can't.
You can't put you can't put Witherspoon on the bench. And Saleh spoke to that. We didn't talk about Saleh. We can get to that later. But Saleh said the same thing. He said, you don't lose your job because of injury. You don't. He came in, he played well. We're going to assume he's going to come back and play well also. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on when that time comes, though, once he's active again. All right. That's all I got, though. I don't know if you got anything else you want to go over, Nick.
What do you? I want to touch on this real quick. What do you think about this whole Taylor and Hurd thing?
What do you mean?
Like, meaning, what do you think happens with those two?
I don't know. So when we did the Emmanuel Sanders breaking news video, I kept saying that the trade has to make sense to me, and I couldn't get a feel for the trade because I didn't understand what was going on, right? And then Shanahan spoke shortly after that at a presser, and he said that there were setbacks for Hurd and Taylor, and then the light bulb went off. It all of a sudden clicked. It made perfect sense to me. The 2 guys that you plan on using in the slot may not come back. Not that they won't, but even if they do, it's going to be longer than you expected it to be, right? And so we have to do something to supplement that. And now it all makes sense. I'm not sure if either one of them are going to come back. Maybe they both do. Maybe they both don't. Shanahan wouldn't say either way definitively. He just said that there were setbacks, and it's not going to be as soon as we thought. That's all he said.
Let me ask you this. So Matthews gets cut right now for Sanders, right?
Yes. Who also was slotted to be a slot guy.
Right.
He was also penciled in as a slot guy.
You bring back Taylor this year. Who's going? And I know this is just figuratively speaking.
I know. I'm going to try to answer it. I'm going to try to answer it. No, I'm not. I don't duck. You're saying Taylor's for sure coming back, so we got to cut someone else?
Yeah, like what other receiver would you get rid of now?
Oh, it has to be a receiver, not just another player?
Well, it could be another player, but then isn't that going to be, what would that be, 7 receivers or 8?
That would be 7 then. That would be 7.
Oh, yeah, because Matthews is the 7th right now.
Right.
So that would be 7. So you still have to get rid of somebody.
I don't think I'm going to try to stick with this situation and then try to pick somebody. There's no one to cut.
Dante Johnson.
Oh, I thought you said it had to be a wide receiver.
No, I'm saying it would have to be somebody.
Johnson's going to be gone by then because Witherspoon's going to come back.
Right. So then let's say Johnson is gone and but Witherspoon's already on the 53.
Right.
So Johnson wouldn't be cut by then. He'd still be
on. You're right. They did not put Witherspoon on IR.
Right.
Good call, Nick. Yeah, Johnson's gone. Yep.
So I was going to say either Johnson or probably Jeff Wilson Jr. would go back to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Because that could right now actually be a move too, and they keep Matthews.
Nah, I don't think they're going to do that. They gave up too much. Matthews has no purpose here anymore. Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying, like, because of the injury to Deebo Samuel with the groin, they don't know how that's going to work out because it's going to be his first game back. You're bringing in Emmanuel, who doesn't really know the whole playbook yet for this week.
He knows the offense. He doesn't know the playbook.
Right. He knows the offense, but doesn't know the playbook. You have, and then let's just say, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see who it comes down to this week with Matthews. And right now, I think Matthews might be safe because of the groin injury to Deebo right now.
Yeah, Deebo practiced and they're expecting him to play, so I don't think so.
Right, but he could
have a setback. I get what you're saying. He could have a setback for sure.
So for 1 week, I'm just saying that could be something that it'll be interesting to see what the corresponding move is. But I would think that it's going to be Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews. I would think it would be Johnson. I think Johnson gets cut before Matthews.
No, I'm saying the move right now, corresponding Matthews. I understand. I asked you the question when Akello comes back and Taylor comes back, but I'm saying right now, we said Dante Johnson for when Taylor comes back.
Yes.
I'm saying right now that corresponding move will be interesting to watch between Jordan Matthews because of the groin injury to Deebo.
Yeah.
For this,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
This week, what that corresponding move would be.
Well, they can't get rid of. They can't. They literally can't get rid of Johnson until another corner is active.
Right. I'm saying John. We agreed that Johnson would probably be the odd man out once Akello comes back and Trent Taylor.
Yeah.
Because Akello's already on the 53, but now you move Taylor in because we're talking weeks down the road if he comes back. Dante Johnson would probably be the cut for that. But this week, it's kind of interesting because I forgot about the groin injury to Bourne, that it may not – we're all thinking it may be Matthews, but there's that slight chance that Matthews stays because of that injury just in case he goes down again in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not completely healthy. So, because all of our receivers have been active, right?
I don't remember seeing Matthews out there, but he was probably
Matthews was active last week because Deebo was out.
Right.
So we've only been keeping 6 guys active, 5 guys active.
5, yeah, 5.
5. So that'll be interesting. The one I'm really interested in is who's going to play right tackle. Is it going to stay Brunskill when?
It will. It'll stay Brunskill.
Yeah, because I'd love
Shanahan has spoken up multiple times about moving one guy from one side to the other just for the sake of doing it.
Right, but Justin Skule is the swing tackle, so he plays both positions.
We'll see.
So that'll be
I think we get him back at the same time. Believe it or not, I think is Mike McGlinchey on pace to come back for Thursday Night Football?
No, he's got like 2.5, 3 weeks left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know he had that
He'll
much.
be back to the Seattle game, I think.
All right.
So, but yeah, I would if Staley comes back and obviously goes back to left tackle, I wouldn't be opposed to moving Justin Skule to the right side if he's a swing tackle, just to continue to let him grow. But Brunskill's young too, so
yeah, we got to see. I think they'll let those guys go out there and battle it out in camp, and not camp in practice. Put them up against people, let them take first team reps, and it'll be a true in season competition. You know what I mean? Like to see who's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take some adjustments for Skule to go back and forth from left to right. You know.
Yeah.
And I think another reason I think you keep Brunskill, because neither one of these guys are going to get deactivated from the roster. All of them will be up and dressed on the game day. But God forbid Joe Staley has a setback his first day back. You're not going to want to take Skule, who's been practicing at right all week, and move him to the left to cover for Joe Staley again, and then put Brunskill back at right. To me, you leave Brunskill there, and then you have Skule as Joe Staley's backup, just in case Staley tweaks something.
The only reason that's bringing me in the question is because Justin Skule was playing both positions in training camp. So that's the only reason that I keep bringing myself back to this question.
No, I get it, but that was a long time ago. For the last 4 weeks, he's been left tackle only. That's
right.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying he knows the right tackle position. So it's not like moving when we move Mike McGlinchey from tackle to guard. You know what I mean? That's a big difference. Left tackle to right tackle is just pretty much differences in the way your feet come back for dropbacks and shit.
Mike McGlinchey said it was a lot harder than what people think.
Right, but you play tackle and guard. That's really hard. I'm saying from left tackle to right tackle.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what Mike McGlinchey commented on. Everyone assumed that when Staley went down, he was going to go over to left, remember? And he said no. He was like, that's not what I'm doing because that's harder than what people think it is. I've been playing right for a year in the NFL, and going to the left just isn't as easy as people think it is just because I played it in college.
Right.
Those were Mike McGlinchey's comments. So.
Yeah, true. I get you.
But, well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't done it. I'm just going based off of what I've heard.
Yeah, I've never been big enough to play offensive line. I might be now, but back then I wasn't big enough.
So yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens, and we're going to give you guys a breakdown. Sunday is going to be very interesting. We usually try to go on early on Sundays to do the preview part 2. We usually try to do that early before the first games kick off. The issue with that is, I think are we going to be in the same area at that time, or are we going to do the videos from home and then meet up later, or what? How are we playing this on Sunday?
What is it? A 4:00 game?
Our game is at 4, but we like to try to do the preview part 2 where we come up with scheme and stuff like that. We do that around 10 a.m. our time, which is 7 a.m. for the West Coast people.
Yeah, so we'll probably do a video 10 a.m. and then meet up because I probably won't leave here till 2-ish.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, it'll be interesting. The overreaction shows will be later on Sunday because we have to get back home and everything and all. So, but we're definitely going to have everything in line for you guys. Make sure you guys are all locked in. Guys, I can't say this enough. If this is your first time here on YouTube, thank you guys for checking us out. We really hope you guys like what you saw so far. And if you did, do us a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on your notifications so you know next time we're going live. All right? For the Facebook community who is watching, thank you guys for checking us out as well, and also on the rewatch, okay? Our Facebook and our Instagram names are exactly the same. They are nothing but Niners, spelled out with spaces in between. And last but certainly not least, our Twitter and our Snapchat. That is the same handle as well. Nothing but 9ERS. So make sure you give us a follow on both of those pages, okay? If you have any problems remembering anything that I just said, it's simple. NothingButNiners.com. Make sure you guys check out the website, www.nothingbutniners.com. That is where you will find everything. Social media, podcasts, pictures, articles, everything. All right? So I'm done, man. I'm signing out here.
Me too, man.
On behalf of 49er Faithful 365, my man Nick, and myself, 49ers Mike _NFL, we're out of here. Prepare for glory,
Anticipate pain.
but always remain faithful.